you find that everything they've got, you step forwards to my shadow. You I follow in my pattern.
Hi, and welcome to the Ladies' Room. I'm so happy today to have my friend Debra Scott with me. She is an incredible journalist. She wrote a fabulous column for the East Hampton Star for many a moon. And she is also an editor and writing coach, and regularly has a group that comes for coaching sessions, working on all kinds of things. Their journals, a book, memoirs. What got you into this? Screenplays.
Well, first of all, I guess what got me into it is that I discovered I kind of have a gift for helping other people. I've been doing it myself for so long. I'm a working journalist now,
Right.
and I write freelance for a lot of publications as we speak. And I'm editing a magazine right now, a new
Cool.
magazine.
What's the name?
It's called The View, but it's
The View. How original.
well, I know. It's the magazine for the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in New York. So it's very
interesting.
luxurious, upscale, and I'm the managing editor. I'm helping out the editor, Sue Hostetler, there. And that's great because it's all New York-centric and very high-end. And I was the editor-in-chief of Hampton's magazine.
I remember.
In the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, and then I was Trump style, and I've been the editor of several magazines, and they always seem to be very upscale.
Yeah.
Which for some reason that's become my beat. Who knows?
Yay.
it's
Way more fun.
It's a decent beat.
Last winter when you were doing the article on winter cocktails, we got to go together
right.
and
You helped me
they
research.
mix up cocktails for us with jalapeno peppers and blackberries muddled and
That's right. We had the
unbelievable.
jalapeno one at Fresh.
Fresh. The cocktails were unbelievable at Fresh.
And they had the blackberry one there too.
Yeah. Well, that's where we had it.
Yeah, but we also had it at Nick and Tony's.
They didn't have blackberry.
They did a jalapeno one there.
They did a jalapeno, and
The
Maidstone
spicy
has
margarita.
a jalapeno. I think everybody's doing the jalapeno thing now.
Right. Oh
Well, it's
my
really
God.
good for you, and especially in winter.
So good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then when I moved out here the last time, because I've lived out here several times.
Yeah.
I did get a job at the Star for a couple of years, and was doing a real estate column.
Yeah, our Company Town.
Company Town. You were one of my readers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was good.
Thank you. But what happened was, I guess, to back up a little bit, I had lived in L.A. for a while, in the 90s, where I wrote screenplays and I produced screenplays. And when I came back to Sag Harbor, I came back to be the marketing director on the first year of the Hamptons International Film Festival.
Oh, that's fun.
That's what brought me back from L.A.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, I thought, why everybody wanted to write the great American screenplay. And so I thought, why don't I teach screenwriting? So I did that. And I loved doing it. And I really found that I was really able to help people. And people need feedback. Writing is so solitary, and it's so hard to do it on your own. You don't have the...
Oh, it's like editing your closet. You're like, oh, I really, it's hard to give anything up, even a little word, probably.
It's true, and it's, kill your darlings, right, is the expression that, so many writers, it's been attributed to so many writers. I'm now forgetting who the real author who said it originally. But anyway, it's hard to kill your darlings and hard to see what's working and what isn't working. And
sometimes it gets way too long, so you have to kill a whole chapter of darlings.
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
And
maybe that's another book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, I thought to myself, let's help people out. And it's worked out really well. I have a lot of clients at this point.
That's great. Are you one of those lucky people that knew when you were a little girl that you wanted to be a writer?
No.
How did you happen upon writing?
My
as a
grandmother
career?
was a writer.
Oh, cool.
And she was kind of a frustrated writer. She wrote under pseudonyms a lot for other people, ghostwriting.
Yeah, in those days.
In those days, yeah.
Yeah, if they knew you were a woman, already your pay was like a third of what it should have been.
You know, it's true, and it's funny because, and I didn't even realize that till you just said this now. When I moved to London, that's when I first was published as a writer in my 20s. And I was sending out a lot of queries, pitches, whatever you want to call them, and I wasn't getting anywhere under Debra Scott. And you know what I did? I thought, oh, P.G. Woodhouse. Okay, I'm going to be D.G. Scott, gender neutral. They're not going to know whether I'm a man or a woman. The first pitch I sent out under D.G. Scott was to the Times of London, and it was a pitch on the American Women's Club in London. I got it right away. Yeah. It was interesting. And that was in the 70s.
What is it, J.K. Rowling? There's so many of those.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And she was homeless or something when she
That's
started.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Not anymore, that's for sure.
Not anymore.
So, yeah, I don't know what I thought I was going to do when I was a little kid, but it wasn't writing. I don't think I really gave it that much thought, really.
So how do you find your clients? How do you get your clients, and how do you work with them?
Mostly word of mouth. And how do I work with them?
Well, what kind of projects are they working on, and what do you do to help them with those projects?
Everything from memoirs to screenplays to novels, fiction mainly.
So it's a lot of one-on-one or in groups? Because I know you
Both.
do a group thing. So in the groups, is it very mixed what people are working on? And do people brainstorm and help each other?
Yes, that's one of the really great aspects of being in the group.
That's
'Cause
cool.
you're not just getting my feedback, you're getting everybody's
And it must
feedback.
be kind of funny too, in a way.
In what do you mean?
Well, people throwing ideas around or
It's
saying,
pretty serious. It's not
yeah.
funny. People are serious about their writing, yeah.
So do they read something
Yes.
they've written and then people give them feedback?
Yes, they read it, or they can just discuss an idea. You know, I have a lot of people who come who maybe haven't written anything yet, but they know they've got an idea. Or they read, and, you know, we're critical, but we also, of course, tell people what's working, what's not working, and why.
But then when you're editing, it has to be more one-on-one, because do they give you your piece and you just go through it and kind of redline the things you think should be taken out, or how do you do that?
It gets more complicated, deeper than that. I basically work on structure a lot with people. So it could be anything from develop this character more, or you've got too many characters. I'm working with a screenwriting duo right now. They had so many characters at the beginning, they didn't need those many. It was confusing. And so
Look at Game of Thrones.
I don't watch that.
Me either. I watched it the first time and I was like, too many names, too many people.
That's an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
And ensemble pieces are the hardest to write.
Wow. That's huge.
And what these particular clients are doing is an ensemble piece, but still there were too many, way too many. And it's okay if each character has a particular reason for being there. Yeah. You know, I have a funny story. I interviewed B.B. Newirth once for Entertainment Weekly when I was in L.A., and she was, I guess, was she still on the set of Cheers? But anyway, she had just done a movie called Green Card. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
And she played the best friend of, I think it was Andy McDowell who played the lead in Green Card. And I asked her, why do you think there was a best friend? Mm-hmm. Why do you think your character was there? She went, I don't know. And I thought that was so interesting because she's an actress. She only looks at the part. She doesn't look at the whole, Megillah. And she had no clue why that screenwriter would, and what her function in
as an actress getting a job, you don't ask any questions. You just take the job.
I guess so. But you know what? When I read scripts in Hollywood for a living, I did coverage, what they call coverage, where you either reject it, which is 99%, or you say it's consider it, which is not that often. And I think I gave maybe 2 recommends in my whole career of hundreds.
Did they turn out to be something really good, the 2 recommends?
I don't know. Good question. I never read. I should go back and look. I don't know.
To me.
One of them didn't really happen with that. I went to that the company. It was, I think, Castle Rock. I don't even know if Castle Rock still exists. And I went to them, I said, are you going to do anything with this? And they said, no. And I said, well, can I have it? And then I worked on producing it for a while, and whatever. It's a typical long Hollywood story of why it didn't work up. It was a brilliant script. But anyway, where was I? Talking about?
We were talking about the different projects your clients are working on and how you help them.
Oh,
with it.
yeah. I mean, there were so many
Funny
scripts.
story about B.B. Newark.
Yes, and then that I remember now that there were so many scripts that I would find out were attached to big stars. And I would think, this is probably the worst script I've ever read. This is never going to go anywhere. But I could see why the star took it, because it was a great role for that star. That's all they can see.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a shame, because they really should. I mean, obviously somebody like Angelina Jolie is somebody, she's now directing, right? She can probably, I'm sure she can see the big picture.
I don't think that's a movie I would see broken.
Really?
Yeah, I like to go to be entertained and laugh and feel good when I come out, and that just looks like torture. I can't even imagine what it would be like to take on a project of that enormity and direct it, because directing, you got to be on top of every little detail.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
she's really amazing.
She's great. You know, which brings me to one of the issues that I wanted to talk with you about. One of the problems that a lot of writers have is figuring out what the genre is. And that, for example, is a biopic, what's called a biopic. Because it's based on a true story.
Sure.
It's probably got other genre elements in it, because I saw the coming
there's so many different. The guy
he falls in love.
Down, he's up,
well,
he's
yeah,
down.
there's survival. Yeah, I mean, it's probably got a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's when you ask me how I work with them. That's one of the first things in fiction. It's funny. I've written nonfiction for most of my life, although I have written screenplays, and yet that's what I wind up helping people with mostly is fiction. But you know, the first thing they have to determine is, what is the genre? Is it a love story? What is it? Most people don't have a clue, which is interesting, because that's basic. And then they need to know what their theme is, what the premise is, all sorts of things. It's not just about putting pretty words on paper.
Well, it needs a beginning, a middle, and an end too.
Yeah.
Anything does.
And it needs conflict. You need to have a character who has a specific goal, and there are challenges to that goal, and whether those challenges are his own inner demons, or nature, or an outside antagonist, or could be any number of things, but you've got to have as strong an antagonist as you have a protagonist. There are all these elements that people need to look at, that they, you know, better to come to me early on so you know how to do it, rather than come to me
and have to completely rewrite and redo and move things around and get rid of things and add things. So is there anyone that you're working with now that you think is particularly talented, or has a project that is going to go somewhere, has some
I
legs
have
to
a
it?
few, actually. One is a woman named Linda Paris, and Linda was a producer at CNN. She had a grandfather and a father who were detectives, police detectives.
My parents were detectives.
Really?
Yeah, they had a detective agency. They weren't police detectives. They were
Wow, I
private
didn't
investigators.
know that. Well, both her grandfather and father were on the force. I think it was Baltimore, somewhere like that. So she grew up at the dinner table hearing about murders.
Yeah.
And she, I guess years later, became obsessed
With crime.
and particularly with the Black Dahlia murder. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah. And they've made movies about
There
it.
have been movies and books.
Two movies about it, I think.
And, you know, it was in the 40s. And, well, she's discovered the killer. It was never found. She
figured it out.
She figured it out.
Now, did it take forensics or DNA or anything
A lot
like
of
that?
stuff. But here's how she did
She's
it.
the one that followed the trail.
She followed the trail online. It took her years.
Wow.
But she also, of course, went and got
Research,
records
talk
and
to people.
went to where this guy was born, went to his gravesite, went to his old school, got his yearbooks. I mean, but along the way, this is what's amazing. She also discovered that he is the Zodiac killer, and she can prove it. And nobody's ever found the Zodiac killer.
Now,
And
so,
is that
is
unbelievable?
he still alive?
No, I was just going to
No.
say it's too bad he's dead, and he did. He got away with murder, and
Many people do.
he did, and
And
he
now
killed
they're
many more than those. I
And
mean,
now
those
they're
were just
teaching on TV how to
You're
do it.
right. But he started killing in the 30s when he was a teenager.
Oh my.
Anyway, I could go
Yeah.
on and on about it because it's a fascinating book. And she's just now going through the agenting process. She's finished the
Yay.
proposal, which I helped her with. Laura Grenning, who has Grenning Gallery in Sag Harbor, she's working on a screenplay that I think has some real serious legs. Very
She's a lovely girl.
fun, she
Yeah.
is, and it's a cool screenplay. And then I have somebody who's a dear friend who I've worked with for a couple of years on her novel, Susan Israelson.
Susan, of course, is in town from San Miguel Allende.
De Allende. Yeah.
And she stopped by the studio, and we actually can bring her in here if you
That
want
would be great. I would love it if she could. How do we
Let's
get her in?
Get her over here.
There, magic. Here she is.
I saw her sneak in the door. So
You look a little bit tan from San Miguel.
yeah, yes. Well, it's a lot warmer there than it is now.
But anyway, so Susan has a book that started off as a memoir, and it's interesting because I don't know if either of you've read The Liars Club.
No.
By Mary Karr. It's an iconic memoir, probably the best memoir that I've ever read. And she started off as a novel. A lot of memoirists start off as novels. You started off as a memoir, and I convinced you, hopefully correctly so, to turn it into a novel.
I would have to say that I owe my life to you, Debra.
Well, I don't know if I go that far, but thank you.
The most important thing I ever did in my life was hire Debra. Debra is a genius, and Debra is, when Debra started to talk about the different aspects of writing, I think that, on your card it says what Hemingway says, you need a built-in shit detector.
bullshit detector.
Bullshit detector. Bullshit detector. Whoop. Anyway,
Bleep, bleep.
and
We're on HBO here.
so there are so many aspects to writing. It's, I don't believe that you can teach somebody to be a good writer. I do believe that you can teach somebody to make your writing better, or successful.
Well, you've written a book already.
Yes, but that was a self-help book, and no one cared about the grammar. Well, the grammar. That was my downfall. But I think that what Debra has is the art of, it's the whole thing. It's not just the characters. She made me write about the characters, write a page
Flesh
about
them out.
each-
Bio.
a bio of
them
each
out, so
character.
they
She
came to
helped me
life.
plot, like it turns out I'm a lousy plotter. So Debra, I would say, what do we do now? And I would
Well, you
not
didn't
have,
like it because if it hadn't actually happened. She
got-
said, well, that never happened. I said, well, it
Make
could
it
have
up,
happened. Exactly.
yeah.
It could have happened, so we do exercises
Yeah.
to get her imagination.
Yeah, if it's fiction, if it's a novel, you can make stuff up.
Exactly. But Debra doesn't.
A lot of people out here make a lot of stuff up all the time.
Really?
I'm known for never
I think so.
listening.
I think so.
Oh, you think so? All right. Well,
think so.
I'll be the last to know it. I believe everybody. Anyway, what Debra does is, and sometimes it's uncomfortable because what happens is that you get attached to what she was talking about, your little darlings, and then to change in midstream. You mean that whole thing is going, well, I don't think it fits there, and then all of a sudden you find yourself taking a clump out and putting it in another place, never to be seen again, but you can't get attached to them. So Debra helps on every single aspect. She line edits, she word edits, she grammar edits. It is the biggest present you can give yourself in this or the next life, to have Debra as an editor, because it helps you, and what happened with Water Baby was it was a memoir. Now it's either a fictionalized novel or a novel. And
Fictionalized memoir.
fictionalized memoir or a novel, depending on what day it is. But it never would have happened without Debra because I was stuck in my own morass. So thank you, Debra.
You're welcome. And now I'm trying to get Susan to think about making it into a young adult fiction, because young adult
Starts
fiction
on
is
Fire
so hot.
Island. You
hot right now.
had East Hampton Star do it as a piece of fiction.
Right.
Yes.
And
An
it starts
excerpt.
on Fire Island,
Right.
and you're on the ferry, and you see a cute guy, and it ends with like, oh, I hope I see him again, and it definitely would lend itself to
Absolutely. And young
yeah.
adult fiction,
is hot now.
it's so hot. I mean,
But
this.
can you make money if they're all downloading it on their computer and it's
Sure.
$1.99?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Susan has to consider doing that,
Self-publishing.
e-publishing,
E-publishing, yeah.
which is so easy. You just go in, you fill out a form on Amazon, you figure out what price you want to sell it for, and start selling it. And I don't think that means that you failed. She's been having trouble finding the right agent, and that's
Yeah.
the one. The people are loving it. What is
Well,
the main?
I loved what I read.
Everyone, everyone loved it. I did get Cavett to tell me,
Dick Cavett.
Yeah, a nice line,
Great.
Good. Is it possible that you're a born storyteller?
Nice.
It was nice,
Yeah.
But I think that what's good about Debra is that she helps guide you.
you.
It's
Yeah,
not just
sure.
goodbye. It's just, here's a list of agents, contact them. She helped me with the proposal. I mean, she's helped me every step of the way. I mean, she's my right and left hand. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I do think, I think you may have a certain, prejudice is the wrong word, resistance to the young adult fiction. And I'm wondering, maybe I could do a little coaching with you here now.
Oh, here we go.
Why do you-
A live
why do you
coaching
think-
session.
All right. So that's how
Yeah,
it works.
so-
We talk.
okay.
We talk.
So do you think that you are resisting?
Young adult fiction. I actually don't know that a young adult person would be interested in something that happened so long ago. That's
Oh, sure. People, I mean, there's been movies made about Fire Island in the 70s. The 60s and the 70s, my daughter's generation, the 20-somethings, love the 60s and the 70s. Anything from the 60s and the music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
there
so
was
first the
music.
book, then the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got music, drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll is
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't young adults be into
Yeah,
that?
they are.
So I'd have to tone the sex down.
No.
I don't know. That's a good question. Frankly, I don't know that much about young adult. We'd have to look into that together
Yeah.
and see what the conventions are. That's a genre that I don't particularly
Did you
know.
make all the sex up, or did it really happen?
Well, I want you to know something. That was one of our funniest edits.
I'll bet.
It was one of those funny
Oh, you
edits
mean-
because I had written the sex scenes
Pornographically.
a long time ago without realizing that I was doing it. And then when I look back at them, they look fine to me.
Did I really do that?
It was like memories. But,
Well, I
we
just
toned
felt that it was a
down.
little pornographic. It just needed, and not soft porn either. I think it needed softening.
Too graphic. It was
A little too graphic. It wasn't.
needed to be more dreamlike,
Yeah, I mean, it needed. To me, it was more of a-
softer edges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one friend from Fire Island who was the original bartender at Elaine's, and he said he skipped the whole first part. He couldn't wait to read the sex
Oh
scene.
God! What
a guy!
guy.
Yeah, he
Where's
was
the
a-
good part? Page 66.
This is a chick lit book. Getting back to genre again, it's really chick lit.
Oh, chick lick! I thought you said, and then I thought you
no,
were
no,
talking
no.
about sex
Sorry,
still.
Next.
Okay.
Chicklet,
Okay, somebody.
as in gum.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, is that it?
Chick lit.
Oh, chick literature.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know whether
Chick
that's
lit. Yeah,
you know,
and that would span actually young adults and, you know, the 20 and 30 people. Yeah,
It is chick lit, but
I
whatever.
mean,
Anyway, I do think the young adult is really teens. A book just sold 2 weeks ago, a young adult book, a woman in England who they said sold quicker than J.K. Rowling ever sold.
wow.
Sold millions of, no, not millions, tens of thousands within a few days, and within just a few days. But she also has a blog that's a sort of a cute beauty blog where she already had what the publishing industry calls a platform.
Yeah.
In other words, she has had over a
And it's
million
not Jennifer
views.
Marbles or something like that, is
I
it?
know.
Jenna Marbles? Because Jenna Marbles has like 6 million 13-year-olds that follow her.
Oh, really?
And
What does she do?
started, she was drunk, she was drinking all day Saturday, and she came home and she was a wreck, and she put on her iPhone and she's like, okay, here's how you put on makeup when you've been drunk all day. And she filmed herself putting on makeup, and she's like, and then you do your eyes. And it went viral. And then she was like, okay, I'm an ugly girl, but now I'm going to get in the shower and clean myself up. And she gets in the shower and she comes out and her hair's all, and she's like, okay, now here's how to make an ugly girl look presentable to go out and drink some more. And she's got like all these teeny boppers that follow her. Then she had her boyfriend in the videos with her, and the kids were like, oh, it's a romance. And then they broke up, and he started his own blog, and then they were all mad. But they've got like 6 million followers. And there was an article in the New York Times. The first year, she made $684,000.
I was going to say, how did she monetize it?
She made 600, at a certain point when it goes viral, Google or YouTube contacts you.
Oh, and they start
and then
putting
they
ads.
get ads
Put the
in,
ads on,
and
okay.
that was the first year. And the second year that she was going to make over $1 million in this year. So, but Jenna Marbles, yeah. So we have a minute left. And
My
this
God,
has
that
gone
went fast.
so fast.
Wow.
But you sound just amazing. I think that anybody that would like to, my family's been at me for a zillion years.
Well, what do
write
you
a
want to
book.
write? A memoir, I would imagine. You've had an interesting life.
Yeah, it was a wild life.
I'll
But
name
I
it.
wouldn't know where to start, huh?
I'll name it for you.
What would it be named?
I'll think about it. I'll let
Okay.
you know. I'll let you know.
Okay, well, let me know when you're ready
It
to go.
won't happen here.
Judy.
Yeah, right. They say Cary Grant never said that. I don't
What?
know. They
Oh,
say
really?
Cary Grant never said that Judy thing.
But so then you
Anyway.
could.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to be writing it anytime soon. Thank you so much for coming by. You have to come by
Thank you
again when
so
you have
much
a
for
big
having me.
project to get off the
Yeah,
ground. and
what a good
promote
idea.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm working on something now, which we
Cool.
didn't get to, so I can tell you about
Oh.
it next time.
Okay. Well, what's the blurb on it?
Blurb is it's about my grandmother, mother, and me, 3-generational saga
Excellent. Excellent.
for TV series.
Oh, excellent. Well, best of luck with that. And thank you so much for coming. And ladies, thank you for joining us, Susan and Debra Scott. Her information is on the screen. And Susan's forthcoming book is Water Babies. And
Water
you're
Baby.
doing Water Baby. And you're doing lots of stuff. And remember, ladies, give yourself lots of room. Room for fun. We had fun today. Room for love. Room to grow. And room to glow. It's Christmas time. You gotta glow. Sparkle. You sparkle a little. Sparkle plenty.
To my shadow, you are follow.